the great tales of our present land, the stories of mischief begetting the chief monster. Ladies and gentlemen, when you see a rat jumping, and bouncing, you must know that there is a hole nearby. When the cat grrr, the rat chublu into the hole. Welcome to the Backlog by DTSS. As the days were drawing closer to the long-awaited yet feared monster, KCSE, I knew quite well that the consequences of my missed lessons, undone assignments, sleeps at dawn, and of course, my many trips out of school would ultimately come to haunt me. My audience, a clear indication that the monster was at the gate was when the prayer day for candidates was organized. Our CU patron, at her very best that day, outdid our teacher of English. The sight of our school chaplain in his usual gait made us feel closer to heaven. As in his sermonette, he encouraged us from the story of David in the Bible that we should not face the monster with foreign materials, just like David. And for the first time, I was perturbed. Why didn't David want the shield and bracelets for war? Na kwani alikuwa na confidence aje hivyo venye alikuwa tu kijana mdogo? I knew with certainty that I could not face the monster without a backup. The sermon made sense when the priest read from Philippians chapter something that I cannot remember, that we should not rely on our own understanding. In fact, after those words, I did not care to listen to the rest of the verse. Our teachers encouraged us, and I was very keen to pay more attention to our teacher of biology. I never wanted to disappoint her, being her best artist in drama. So as she concluded her speech, "Boys and girls, I have given you my all, and if I were a bottle of soda, then I would have emptied up to the last drop of my content. I therefore wish you well." The rehearsal day came announcing the coming in of new team with new titles. Our school, Tokdala Mixed Boarding and Day Secondary School, became the examination center. Our principal, the tall bald-headed Mr. Nyang'au, became the center manager. Then the supervisor. She looked okay except for her lengthy speech. Then the two invigilators. The lady invigilator introduced herself as Madam Claire, and some of us who had siblings in the neighboring Ojogwede Mixed Secondary School admitted to have heard stories of her strictness. Then the other invigilator, who by the look of everything looked a new teacher in the profession. And to some extent, I was glad that I would relate with him more. We were taken through the rules from neck, being arranged, and our photos stuck on the lockers. Day 1, English paper 1 and paper 2. My audience, this day I was at peace. For when I opened the paper and saw question 1, functional writing, testing on synopsis, which I understood best since I drafted a synopsis from the screen narrative which I presented in the regional drama festival. Day 2, Kiswahili paper 1 and paper 2. This day I was still at peace. Day 3, mathematics. This was not my thing, so I did it just as a routine. For as long as I could recall, I had never gotten anything more than 12.5 marks. And it didn't trouble me that the invigilator was ever asleep. End of week 1 introduced those subjects that I was determined to pass, whether by force or by fire. The game started. I hid myself at the corner of the classroom with my iPhone 24/7, which the watchman, Mr. Obuogo, had been keeping. You and you are looking me as if you are the victims of the same crime, eh? I received the thing and wrote my answers neatly, waiting to shine. In fact, some of the answers were well written on my shirt. On the D-Day, I packaged my paraphernalia and was very confident to show the biology paper what I was made of. I joined the queue waiting to be frisked by the male invigilator. Step 1, I succeeded. Nothing detected. We did all the preliminaries and waited for the bell to be rung. And indeed, it was. As I am the lyrics of a common song by the CU. I flipped through the paper, and to my greatest joy, my people, it was what I had armed myself with. Now the uphill task was how to relocate the thing. I waited reluctantly for the lady invigilator to sleep, as usual, as I smiled to the rest of the class. On this day, it was like the angels had sent a text message about me, for the lady invigilator moved from her usual corner and came and sat directly opposite me. I still felt unmoved, since I knew her ancestors were soon calling her in an assembly in heaven. 1 hour into the exam, this woman had not slept. I turned to the front of the paper to confirm how long a biology paper lasts. I promised myself once this woman will sleep, I'll do my things pretty fast, as I always did when the archaic physics teacher went to receive her unending calls. 1 hour 30 minutes, this woman had not slept. In fact, she looked as if she had regained more power as her eyes looked brighter and wider.
Nami nahangaika hapa, invigilator amenikazia, sijaweza kutumia mafuta yangu kamwe. Nami nahangaika hapa, invigilator amenikazia, sijaweza kutumia mafuta yangu kamwe.
I started sweating profusely and decided, kama mbaya mbaya. I went for the thing well tucked in my tie. Out of anxiety coupled with fear, I missed it and it fell on the ground.
Ameacha makenya yake imeanguka, imeanguka, imeanguka. Ameacha makenya yake imeanguka, imeanguka chini ya loka. Ameacha makenya yake imeanguka, imeanguka, imeanguka. Ameacha makenya yake imeanguka, imeanguka chini ya loka.
Mayo! The kind of look this woman gave me made me to draw a diagram of a male reproductive organ in a question asking on adaptation of a fish. My audience, time was melting pretty fast and I had to nail this paper. As if the angels had sent another text message about me, the lady invigilator relocated to the back of the class. And you, my audience, can imagine my happiness.
Nimeuona mkono wa Bwana, nimeuona mkono wa Bwana. Nimeuona kweli mkono wa Bwana, nimeuona mkono wa Bwana. Amempa kiti sasa amerudi nyuma, nimeuona mkono wa Bwana. Ametoka mbele sasa amerudi nyuma, nimeuona mkono wa Bwana.
I unleashed my script and started downloading the content very fast to a point of forgetting that there was someone in the watch. All of a sudden, the lady invigilator came and picked all my papers and marched back to her seat. That marked the end of my thinking capacity, and before I knew it, the bell went. What tormented me the most was the wrong diagram in the wrong question as I handed my paper. The next day was geography and business studies. This day, I told myself that I would up my game by being smarter. I retorted back to my corner, and after of course getting a thing which I believed was the real thing. It seems I had been the main major co-agenda during the invigilator's meal, for I was ruthlessly and shamefully frisked, and to my utter shock, my audience, none of my weapons saw the light of the day. One by one, they fell from their hideouts, and you can guess what became of that paper. Still determined to prove a point, I went back to my corner, this time my classmate looking at me, with the hope that a new invigilator would come in. I wrote everything that needed to be written, and tore the hem of my trouser, and carefully stowed my stuff. The same evil invigilator I had to face. Who is it that is responsible for posting invigilators? And why on earth should they post for us 2 invigilators? In fact, 2 evil invigilators in a center with only 28 candidates. I confidently waited for my turn to be frisked. I was flabbergasted when I was told to remove my tie, to remove my shirt, to remove my trouser. And as if the invigilator was not yet finished with me, I was told to remove my shoe. Out of anger, I decided to remove my socks altogether, as I had become the threat of the security of the center. I was in dangerous, for I only managed to write my name and forgot everything else. I looked at my classmates disappointedly as they happily downloaded their content. I became the endless talk of the school. As the next papers came, I vowed not to harm myself anymore, and at least I managed to write the remaining papers peacefully. As I sit here, waiting for the release of the results, the words of Abigail Adams, learning is not attained by chance, but it is something sought for with passion and attended to with diligence, keep ringing in my mind. And so, as they say, shortcuts are the longest routes home. And so, I learned.
Nitarudi na kusema, Baba yangu nisamehe, nimekosa mbele yako na walimu wangu pia. Baba, sistahili tena kuitwa mwana wako. Nitarudi na kusema, Baba yangu nisamehe, nimekosa mbele yako na walimu wangu pia. Baba, sistahili tena kuitwa mwana wako.